activity from us over the next year or so. Very honoured to be involved in making this happen. In addition we had the first meeting between our Secretary of State, Kemi Badnoch, and Cabinet Secretary for Trade, Moses Kuria, as part of a wider trade and investment mission here from Kenya. So we have a very high-powered Kenyan delegation here today. And the purpose of today really is to let the government of Kenya share its plans around investment and attracting investment and how they can work with and support everyone in this room in Kenya, and also to network and to meet counterparts on the Kenyan side particularly. So with that, I'm going to invite the Kenyan High Commissioner to the UK, Manoa Esapisu, to say some words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would start by recognizing our Cabinet Secretary for Trade Investments, the Honorable Moses Kuria, His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa, John Humphreys, and you good people in the business of making money and helping people. As you know, in the context of the strategic partnership agreement that was signed between Kenya and the United Kingdom nearly 3 years ago, the pillars that we focus on are security, climate, sustainable development, people-to-people relations, and mutual prosperity. And it's a mutual prosperity pillar that I think most of us are here for, talking about how and where to invest in our country and how to go about dealing with the issues that might arise around that space, for which our Cabinet Secretary has accepted to come here to talk to you, to talk to you around the issues that there are, and pretty much to encourage you to put your money in our country. And so without diluting whatever he might say, I think it's time for me to hand to the next speaker. The Honorable Peter Anyang' Nyong'o is Governor of... All right, it's not Peter that I hand to, it's the Chamber of... No, it's actually John, right? So that's where we go. His Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa. As you realize, I'm still with Her Majesty. It's taking time to evolve. Thank you. Mr. Humphreys.
Right. Thank you very much, and I can definitely empathize with the years of programming and the change from Her Majesty to His Majesty. Good afternoon, everybody. Very great honour to be here speaking to you all and to welcome the Honourable Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry and all of the honoured dignitaries to this discussion today. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Before I talk about the relationship between the UK and Kenya, as I'm sure everybody in this room knows, I just want to talk a little bit about Africa in general and how important it is to us and the world as a whole. A quarter of the world's population by 2050, more than 2.5 billion people, 20% of the world's landmass, and people often really don't appreciate just simply how big Africa is as a continent. The Economist did a brilliant infographic a few years ago that just demonstrated how big Africa is. 60% of the world's unused arable land, transition minerals that we're all going to rely on for our shift to net zero, and huge renewable energy potential, of course, of which Kenya is a shining example. And as a global capital market and financial centre with strong ties to Africa, The UK is one of the largest investors in Africa, and I don't think people realise just how big that stock is. It's about £54 billion worth of stock at the last UNCTAD figures, and a lot of that is relatively recent investment as well. And we as the UK are really committed to harnessing the potential of our deep relationships across the continent, and to help our economies grow together, making them stronger, more inclusive, more diverse, more resilient, and more sustainable. And I was in Mozambique just recently and I had to cut short my trip because of Cyclone Freddy. And as people will have seen, you know, it went away and came back. And many countries in Africa, of course, are really impacted by climate change. And growth very much premised on respect, mutual benefit, and shared common interests and values. And yesterday I was at an event with my Kenyan colleagues for Growth Gateway, which is a sort of mutual, you know, really to encourage trade, not just with my remit from the UK to Kenya, but very much from Kenya and from Africa in general to the UK as well. So this event marks and celebrates that commitment, I think, and provides a practical forum for translating intentions and ambitions into concrete action. And I think that's really what the focus is all about. It's about generating real deals and doing real deals and improving people's lives and the economy. But before I talk about the focus of today, I'd just like to recall the first UK Africa Investment Summit that took place in 2020. And highlight the second African Investment Summit that's just been announced by our Foreign Secretary in Sierra Leone, which will take place on April 23rd and 24th next year and will be hosted by our Prime Minister. And just sort of casting back to the first AIS Summit, which was in 2020, and the microphone, I can tell my voice is sort of fading in and out as I turn away from the microphone. That provided a real platform for lots of investment and secured over $6.5 billion of investments actually on the day, plus a further nearly £9 billion worth of investments that were committed in and around that event, including some substantial investments in Kenya. East Diageo's investment in Kenya, East Africa Breweries, which was around 167 million, was just an example of that. So the second summit will be on the 23rd to the 24th of April next year. There'll be 24 African countries, we hope, will be attending, and should provide a tremendous sort of focus, really, for us to sort of think about what are the things that we can do, how can we drive deals forward, how can we actually really create growth between us, and to really facilitate those links between governments and between business and between finance and investment. So turning now to the UK's long history of friendship, personal and economic ties to Kenya. Two Commonwealth countries, both champions of rules-based international system. Kenya and the UK enjoy a deep, diverse and historic relationship that's anchored, I believe, in shared values and mutual understanding. And this relationship was really elevated to an even more ambitious strategic partnership between the two countries in 2020, agreeing on our collective expertise, resources and leadership on the priorities that will help deliver a more prosperous, secure and sustainable society in Kenya, and also, of course, support UK economic growth as well. And from 2020 to 2025, the UK and Kenya will be working together under this strategic partnership across 5 pillars, covering mutual prosperity, security and stability, sustainable development, climate change, and people to people, reflecting the key challenges and opportunities of our time. The UK is one of Kenya's largest and most important foreign investors, with British businesses spread across multiple sectors that contribute to the wider value chain of the economy. And some 250,000 Kenyans are directly employed in British businesses. And then beyond that, of course, is the effect of those companies' supply chains as well. And British companies are among some of Kenya's largest taxpayers. Total bilateral trade between the UK and Kenya now stands at £1.1 billion. But we want to do much, much better than that, and we should be doing much, much better than that. And the EPA, the Economic Partnership Agreement that was ratified in March 2021, provides us with a great platform for enhancing that economic partnership between our two countries and providing impetus to promote and grow bilateral trade and investments. And a core commitment of the EPA is not only to try to eliminate existing trade barriers and market access barriers, but also to try to ensure that no new ones get created in the future that might stand in the way of trade and investment between our two countries. And I think the thing that's really important to understand is under this agreement, it really gives Kenyan companies a tariff-free access to the British market, which remains one of the largest economies in the world. And I think there's a huge commitment on both sides to continue working through the market access and business environment issues to enable greater ties between our two countries. And the EPA also commits us to deepening those existing agreements in areas including trade in services, the environment and sustainable development, intellectual property rights and transparency in public procurement by 2026. So it's an ongoing programme of work. And certainly, I think in the UK context, we would like to see that arrangement expanded to include the rest of the EAC as well. And then now I'd just like to highlight some specifics, because I think it's always useful to have some specifics in mind when we're thinking about the business that could be done. And I just want to highlight a few projects that are sort of underway at the moment. One, which I'm sure many people in this room know about, is the Nairobi Railway City, which is a green regeneration of central Nairobi, anchored around a new central railway station. And the UK Foreign Secretary visited Kenya on the 7th of December last year, where he joined the President of Kenya for the groundbreaking ceremony of the NRC project. And last month, the Cabinet Secretary for Transport and Roads, the Honourable Mukuman, was in London to start implementation of the project. United Green, who I believe are with us today, that's a 31 billion Kenyan shilling investment in climate smart crop and agro-industrial processing systems, a joint venture with Kisumu County, which will create 2,000 direct jobs and provide an income for a further 20,000 farmers across counties in the Lake Victoria region. And the Grand High Falls Dam, 425 billion Kenyan shilling investment on the Tana River, which will generate 1,000 megawatts of hydroelectric power and irrigation for 400,000 hectares of farmland, and has the potential to make Kenya a food surplus economy and impact the livelihood of millions of people. And I think we're all very conscious at the moment of the food security issues that are not just in Africa, but particularly in Africa. British companies are positioned to play a pivotal role and want to play a pivotal role in the implementation of these projects and to develop more opportunities for secondary commercial partnerships that really sort of expand out that multiplier effect that we're all looking for when we do business together. And supported by British investment partnerships, we believe that we've got the tools that allow us to catalyse some of those deals, and we've been particularly successful in an African context with UK export finance. And then I also wanted to highlight the COP27 announcement by President Ruto and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on the commitment to invest 500 million worth or billion worth of Kenyan shillings in British investments to support climate change. And so this is a great start. A great start, but we want to do much more, as I said before. And really, one of our hopes is that this event is not just a one-off event, but actually becomes perhaps a regular event, and we start to have more forums for bringing together business and governments in order to drive trade and investment. And just to highlight some of the sectors which I understand are Kenyan priorities where we believe we've got a real strength. Agriculture, we have world-class agri-tech businesses with a particular focus on crop resistance and sustainable farming. And of course, supporting the infrastructure that needs to go with that. There's no point having good harvests and harvesting produce if it then gets destroyed because you haven't got the cold chain storage and the logistics and everything else to process it. Clean energy, which I've already talked about to some degree, and healthcare and life sciences, where the UK has a really strong competitive advantage. And of course, financial services. Here we are in London. and of course, infrastructure and transport, and I referenced the Nairobi Railway City project. So I think I've spoken long enough, actually, quite long, but I think it's really exciting to be here. It feels, notwithstanding all the problems in the world at the moment, of which there are many, nevertheless, it feels like there is a real moment where I think people, and certainly the UK, is looking outwards again and reforging relationships. And we're really keen to build on those. And with that, I'd like to hand over to His Excellency Governor Nyong'o of Kisumu County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, my friend Moses Mkuria, and the High Commissioner, and the delegation for British Government and United Green. Thank you so much for making this possible today. It's a great day for us at United Green. It has been a short journey, but a very productive one. I begin by saying that the future is urban. More and more people will, by the year 2050, be living in urban areas. It is estimated that 50% of Africans will be dwelling in the urban areas. And that will present two problems. Problems for unemployment in urban areas, problems of food provision to urban dwellers. But this is a time that we know that the agricultural sector in most African countries is not very productive for various reasons. There are reasons of climate change. There are also reasons related to peasant production in agriculture. Now, peasant production is not always easy to capitalize. But when you capitalize peasant production, it changes and becomes more and more productive. Here, we and United Green have started a very important initiative involving a three-tier partnership aimed at capitalizing peasant agriculture for a higher production of agricultural commodities, including food. And the three-tier partnership, as the Memorandum of Understanding shows, is between the National Government of Kenya, the County Government of Kisumu, and United Green. That is why you see my dear friend Moses Kuri and I sitting next to each other, being combined by Manoa Espasu, our High Commissioner, to represent this partnership on the Kenyan side. This partnership will cure the usual mischief in peasant production. That is a tendency to produce for subsistence and just marginal production for the market. Not because the peasants want to produce for the subsistence only and limited production for the market. Indeed, they sell to the market what they need to earn the money they need for other expenses. But were they to be provided with more knowledge, technical knowledge, and capital, and access to market, they will thereby produce more. At that point in time, I say, the peasant becomes a proletariat working at home, working under the greater aegis of capital as well as the market. Hence, earning more money to invest further in agriculture and employ more labor. And therefore, the economic cycle continues. We welcome our partnership with United Green and the support given by the Kenyan government to start this very challenging task. And I think we are up to the mark. We welcome our partnership with other development partners who have seen it fit to support these ventures. Kisumu is part of a bigger economic bloc in the Lake region called the Lake Region Economic Bloc. We do hope that as the success is enjoyed in Kisumu, it will percolate into the further economies of the Lake Region Economic Bloc, bringing in more peasants to produce food and agricultural commodities, both for the local market and export market. And in this regard, Emmanuel, I hope you can make it possible for more and more British companies to open their doors to agricultural production for export in Kenya, to give more wealth to the peasants who, for quite some time now, under these very difficult international economic circumstances, have seen their standards of living going down. And that really affects standards of living in urban areas as well. And since the future is urban, let us invest more and more in agriculture, so that those moving to urban areas will also find jobs and cheaper food to buy, not imported, but produced locally. Thank you so much. I guess I'm supposed to invite somebody. He's inviting himself. Okay, fine. So can I therefore invite United Green to come over? We were speaking for United Green according to the program. Okay, thank you.
So we are witnessing the signing ceremony between the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, County Government of Kisumu, and United Green to unlock investment worth 21 million US dollars. Let's appreciate them. This is a case study to prove to all of us in this room today that indeed Kenya is ready for business. We are looking forward to signing more of these deals. A great partnership between the national government of Kenya, county governments, and the private sector, facilitated by a great partnership between UK Trade and Investment team. So this MOU speaks to the intention to partner with the county government of Kisumu to unlock agro-processing. Let's appreciate them by this sign. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Kenya are following this conversation live through the NTV channel in Kenya, and they are aware that indeed we are opening opportunities for foreign direct investment. Are you ready to join the Kenyan people to build the two nations and to create a great partnership between the UK and Kenya? Yes. Show by applause. Great. So we have the governor of Kisumu County, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o. We have the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, Moses Kuria. And we have the leadership of United Green. again facilitated by our key partners, UK Trade and Investment, as well as the British Chamber of Commerce in Kenya, led by Alex and the team, our PS Investment and our PS Planning from the Kenya's National Treasury are here to witness this, among other leaders, including our High Commissioner to London, Manoa Esipisu. A major milestone, a signaling effect. Congratulations. We now invite His Excellency the Governor, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, to invite the Cabinet Secretary, Moses Kuria, to give his remarks. Welcome, Professor. Let's appreciate them one more time. Professor, we're waiting for you. Here. Yes, we request you to invite the Cabinet Secretary to give his remark.
No, you know what? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, my dear. And now I have the pleasure to invite the Cabinet Secretary, my dear friend, Moses Kuria, please.
My good friend, John Humphrey, the Commissioner of Trade for His Majesty, the King, my good friend Alex Mioni, my mentor and my friend, Governor of Kisumu County, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Manoa Esipisu. I also have a lot of colleagues from Kenyan Government, principal secretaries and CEOs and chairmen of the various state corporations that we have in Kenya. I am delighted to be here today. First of all, to witness this very historic signing of this agreement between United Green and the county government of Kisumu. As you know, United Green is a UK company, is a United Kingdom company. Back home, Kisumu is also known as United Kisumu. So today is a marriage of the UK and the UK, the United Kingdom and United Kisumu. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Governor Nyong'o, United Green. It's been quite a journey. We had the initial discussions centered around November last year, when Secretary of State James Cleverly was in Nairobi, and we promised ourselves to get this done and dusted before Q1 of 2023, and here we are. So clap for us, please. Thank you very much. In addition to this signing ceremony today for Kenya shillings, that's 1 billion shillings investment, we were also here with my delegation for the first ever review of the Economic Partnership Agreement between Kenya and the United Kingdom. This agreement was signed 2 years ago on the onset of Brexit, and we found ourselves in that situation whereby we did not know what to do, and Kenya had to take that very exceptional step with the United Kingdom to sign an economic partnership agreement for no other reason but to safeguard our very important and historic market, that is the UK. And we are pleased that that review went on very well yesterday. My counterpart, the Secretary of State for Business and Trade, Kemi, and Nigel, the State Minister for Trade, we had a review of the issues that have come up since the EPA was signed 2 years ago. we were able to unlock quite some few challenges that are coming up, both in terms of tariffs and non-tariffs. And I can say that the trade relationship between Kenya and the United Kingdom is right on course. Over the next few months and coming years, we are going to continue these continuous engagements to unlock the issues that are emerging, not only on the issues that were signed 2 years ago, but also to broaden, as indeed the Trade Commissioner has said, on issues that we are yet to touch on, issues of digital trade, issues of trade in services, issues of sustainability, and all other topics that we agreed to broaden this scope to be able to cover. So once again, thank you very much. And I want to say also that other than the trade relations between Kenya and the UK, Kenya is also a very important destination for UK investment. Or let me put it the other way around. The UK is a very important source of foreign direct investment in Kenya, and we take that very seriously, as indeed witnessed today by the signing of this agreement between United Green and the county government of Kisumu. We have a couple of joint investment initiatives, first of all, that are being driven by our two respective governments. As mentioned before, our Secretary of State, James Cleverly, was in Nairobi in November. We did conduct the launching, or the President William Ruto officiated with James Cleverly, the groundbreaking on the Railway City project, a very important, iconic project that is going to help us in terms of transportation, urban housing, and indeed the whole space of urban development. We also have a number of other initiatives other than this one we are signing today in the area of renewables, Menengai geothermal, which is again a shared project between Kenyan government and the UK government, the Ramu solar project. We have got the Highland Grand Falls irrigation project in Kenya that is going to assist us also in terms of food security and self-reliance in terms of food supply. All these are very, very important topics and very important areas where the Kenyan government and the UK government are working together. But we are not limiting it to only government-to-government relations. On a business-to-business level, we are also witnessing a lot of cooperation between Kenyan companies and UK companies. Top on the list is on the issue of renewables, a lot of interest there, financial services, and we are in the, when I'm here in the city of London, as an old hand who grew professionally in this city, working for Standard Chartered Bank in my formative years, I feel like I'm on a pilgrimage. And, you know, the city of London has distinguished itself as really the place to be for financial services. And we are working together between Kenyan companies and the UK companies, Kenya government and UK government, especially on the setup of the Nairobi International Financial Center, which we don't want to say that is going to rival Canary Wharf, but is going to be the next big thing after Canary Wharf. That is what we are creating in Nairobi. And we look forward to welcoming UK companies to set up base in the Nairobi International Financial Center. Kenya is a market leader in terms of digital transformation, a lot of growth in our fintech businesses, startups, lots of interest really from private equity, both from US, from Europe, and right here from in the UK, in the GCC countries as well. And again, this is going to continue to be an area of growth and an area of mutual interest between Kenyan businesses and UK businesses. So our relationship is strong, it's solid. We have covered a lot, but the most important thing is that we are yet to scratch the surface, both in terms of trade. Our current bilateral trade between Kenya and the United Kingdom now stands at 1.1 billion sterling pounds, slightly favoring the Kenyan side. but that is not even what is worth talking about. It does not matter who it's favoring and who is not favoring. What matters is we still have a lot of potential for growth and for expanding our trade relationship. But most importantly is that we have a lot of potential for growth in terms of our exchange of investment. And we are going to act together, the Kenyan government and the UK government, to continue facilitating you and making it easier for you and your businesses to set up in Kenya. And hopefully, in the fullness of time, also to see Kenyan businesses expanding and investing here in the UK. We are now in the course of refurbishing and revitalizing our one-stop center at the Kenya Investment Authority, whereby we hope that all of you UK companies and businesses who are either operating in Kenya or are coming into Kenya for the first time, you do not need to get harassed from left and right, from this office to that office. The Kenya Investment Authority, which comes under my purview, is going to be your single port of call. Whether you are talking about issues to do with tax and KRA, the Kenya Revenue Authority, we are talking about power, whether you're talking about water, we're talking about the licensing regimes, the local authorities, you do not need to go to all those places. Once you come to the Kenya Investment Authority, we are going to take up the rest for you and actually being able to take that burden from you, because we are serious and we are open for business. And we mean it, we mean it. We really want your investment and we want your business. And it is not by accident that we are having this very aggressive pursuit of investment, especially from the UK. We are grappling with several realities, macroeconomic realities. Over the last few years, the contribution of exports or the exports as a ratio of GDP has dropped from 28% to as low as 10%. So we want to use investment as a means of also boosting exports and reigniting our exports. And also while doing that, make exports to be more inclusive, not just a preserve of some few people who can be able to access the UK market. This morning at 5 a.m. in the morning, I was in the wholesale fresh produce market here in London. And really what I saw there, I saw a lot of wonderful things, but I did not see rocket science. I did not see something that our SMEs and the people at the bottom of the pyramid in Kenya cannot be able to undertake. So we look forward to working together, not only to increase the trade between Kenya and the United Kingdom, but also to make that opportunity to be inclusive, to include people from, a place called Kitimikai, near where Governor Nyong'o comes from in Seme, and ensure that that person from Kitimikai can actually be able to export all the way to that market, wonderful market that I saw this morning. It is possible and it's doable, because even as we look at the overall trade volumes and trade statistics, we have a social justice obligation to ensure that our growth is inclusive and to ensure that the opportunities that are presented by our respective markets also benefit people at the bottom of the pyramid and people who have been cut off. What the governor has talked about, the mischief of peasants, agriculture, and whereby we leave our peasant farmers to toil in the farms and the benefits go to a few people. So we want to attack it from all levels, from macro level, from big people who export into those markets to the SMEs, and all this presents opportunity for real growth and to take off together. Another area of possible collaboration is on the area of manufacturing and value addition. And again, for the right reasons, the contribution of manufacturing to GDP over the last few years has dropped from 9% to 7%. And our government, the William Ruto government, has got an objective that we've undertaken to ourselves to increase that contribution to 15% by the year 2027 and to 20% by 2030. That cannot come if it's not driven by your investments in agriculture, in agro-processing, in renewable energy to power, our manufacturing, and in all other areas that are presented by this opportunity. And attendant to this also is the fact that our foreign direct investment has fallen in the last few years, stagnated at around $500 million US. Again, we have a very, very aggressive, some people call it crazy, ambition to raise that to $10 billion US by 2023 and maintain it there. And for those people who thought it was not possible, I think the fact today that we are starting off with $300 million of investment by United Green shows that we are firmly in that cause. And we're going to see and hear of a lot of announcements, and we welcome you also to join that opportunity as we grow our foreign direct investment. So we are going to do our part. We are going to create a conducive environment for your investment. We are going to hold your hands. We are going to end your frustrations. We are going to review our processes, our systems. We are going to review our policies. We are having a shift in our taxation policy, a number of them that President William Ruto is going to announce next week on the sidelines of the AmCham meeting in Nairobi. Very radical, very bold policy shift on the issue of tax reform and indeed the entire business environment. And all these factors point to one thing, that indeed Kenya is really open for business and you cannot be left behind. When we talk about Kenya, we're not just talking about Kenya. We are talking about a region that is integrating very quickly. Kenya is a member of the East African community that brings together 7 countries: Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, DRC, Rwanda, and Burundi. 250 million people there, and also part of COMESA, 350 million people there. But one of the amazing things that we are doing also is because of the multiplicity of the trading blocks of the South African Development Corporation, SADC, the East African Community, and COMESA. We are now working on the tripartite free trade agreement that will bring together SADC, COMESA, and the EAC into one trading bloc from Cape to Cairo, 28 countries, 750 million people, $1.8 trillion of GDP into one market. And all this is to form a critical, a stepping stone as we move to the 1.3 billion people, 2.5 billion by 2050 in the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Just next month, I am going to host all the trade ministers of Africa, all the 54 trade ministers of Africa, for a session to develop now the implementation matrix for the AfCFTA. And Kenya is going to be the gateway of this particular market. So when you are look at Kenya, you're not just looking at investing in Kenya, you're also looking at accessing, using Kenya as a gateway, as a stepping stone to this wider market that you're developing. As I said yesterday in some other forum here in London, in this world, given that the potential for growth, the biggest potential exists in Africa, we are only going to have 2 categories of businesses. The first category of business are businesses which are operating in Africa. And the second category of businesses are extinct businesses that are going to be driven to extinction, and businesses that are not going to be growing. So really we have an option, we have a choice to choose. Do we want to be part of the growing market of 1.3 billion people, of 2.5 billion by 2050, or do we want to be stagnating businesses that are going to be left behind in the annals of history? So let me take this opportunity to thank you all for turning up today, and we are here to answer your questions. It is unimaginable how the government of Kenya is running today, because to signal, to show you how serious we are with this drive towards attracting investment. I have come here with a very huge delegation. The entire government of Kenya is here. Maybe I should ask my delegation, who are here, the principal secretaries, just to stand up to, if you could stand up PSs, just for introduction. PS Hari Kimtai is a PS in charge of livestock. PS Abubakar Hassan, PS in charge of investment promotion, PS Alex Washira in charge of energy, PS James Mohati in charge of economic planning, PS Betsy Mudoni in charge of blue economy, and PS Abdi Dubat in charge of the East African Cooperation, and a host of other CEOs and chairs of the board. We have got chair of the Kenya Development Corporation out there. We have got the CEO of the Kenya National Trading Corporation, our export house, and also we have got the CEO, June, and the chair of the Kenya Investment Authority. So at some point, we are happy to, you may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. We are happy to mingle with you and to interact with you, but at some point, and we want to answer your questions, but at some point you release us in the next few days, because as you can see, we have closed the government of Kenya to come here and show you exactly how seriously we take this relationship, and to work with you, to welcome your businesses to Kenya to take this opportunity. Let me end up by saying that the agreement that we have signed today is historic. And the Western region and the Lake Victoria region is going to, it will never be the same again. I want to thank United Green and assure you that I am actually the guarantor of the success of this project, and I will do whatever it takes to make this project work. Professor, if you make it possible for me, I want to visit this project twice a week, every Monday and every Thursday. If only you make it possible for me, that I'll be able to come and visit this project every Monday and every Thursday. I'll make sure this project works. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary, and indeed all of extended Principal Secretaries from the Government of Kenya here, and of course the Governor of Kisumu as well. Let me just, we have, as if by magic, just moved a few things around on the agenda, so I'll just give you an updated order. We're now going to have a case study from United Green. You've heard a lot about the project, but I'd love to invite Rod and Albrecht up to talk about their vision and what they've been doing and how they've put this joint venture together with the county. Then I will invite the CEO of Keninvest, June, to give a presentation, a country presentation on Kenya, and then we'll move into panel session, and we will cut this slightly short, so around 4:30, and start serving refreshments then, so we can keep you all here and you can actually network and talk to each other. But I just thought I would inform you what's going on before doing it. So I would love to invite Rod and Albrecht up now. Thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, my name is Albert Frischenschlager. I'm the Chief Investment Officer of United Green Group, and it's a great privilege for me to be here today to sign this wonderful agreement in the presence of such honorable gentlemen, and also to give a short introduction about United Green Group. United Green is a UK-based strategic private equity investor. We are 100% family-owned. Sometimes I'm asked, what does the green in your company name mean? Does it stand for sustainable or ecological? Actually, it stands for green field. So we like to develop large-scale and complex greenfield projects. We have been doing that for more than 30 years. In a variety of jurisdictions and also across different sectors. We have done so in real estate. We have developed several production facilities for fast-moving consumer goods. We have also been active in distribution facilities, but presently we are focusing mainly on renewable energy and on food security. We believe that these are two of the main issues that the world is facing today. With regards to our renewable activities, we are mainly investing in solar plants. We have a 15-year track record in doing so. We have already sold various assets that we have been developing, but we hold at present still in excess of 500 megawatt of operating renewable assets. And we have actually a project pipeline of 5 gigawatt of project rights. In the past, we have been mainly investing in this field in emerging markets. Presently, we're focusing on OECD countries, the UK, Germany, Italy, and also on Australia. We like to invest in partnerships. So as an example from the renewable energy side, we have invested in 3 large-scale solar projects in Kazakhstan, jointly with the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Kazakhstan called Samruk Kazyna. We also like very much to work with international DFIs. We have at the moment existing loan agreements with the EBRD, with the Asian Development Bank, or for example also with the Clean Technology Fund. And we have in this context in 2016 received the Sustainability Award of the Year of the EBRD. Moving on to food security. This is a relatively new initiative. We have started about 4 years ago to become active in this sector. We are addressing the food security, as already mentioned a couple of times today, by setting up and investing in national champions. These involve in the production and also of basic agricultural goods and also in the basic processing of those goods. We believe that our approach is unique, is new, and is trying to learn from the unfortunately many mistakes that have been done by other initiatives in this field. We have at the moment a focus on Africa with our 5 years, 5 countries program. Now I will hand over in a minute to Rod Bassett. Rod Bassett is my colleague, Managing Director of our subsidiary Capaconic, which is taking the lead in all our agricultural projects. But before moving on, I would like to thank very much the UK government, first of all, for organizing this wonderful event and hosting the signing ceremony, but even more importantly, for the great support we have received in Kenya and also in various other countries from High Commission and various other agencies of the UK government. I would like to thank a lot the IFC, the African Development Bank, also the Tony Blair Institute, who have been really pivotal in bringing us to where we are today, in providing us with their advice and their guidance. Of course, the banks in terms of African Development Bank and IFC also for the prospect of receiving debt financing for our projects from them. And most importantly, I would like to thank the Kenyan authorities, both on a national level, by honoring us today with the presence of Your Excellency, but also on a provincial level with His Excellency Governor Nyong'o, who has been really a champion from the very beginning of our initiative. Without your unwavering support, without your vision for your country and for our project, we would not be where we are today. So thank you very much, and I will hand over to my colleague Rod Bassett.
Thank you, Albrecht. It's a very difficult task to follow the passion and vision of Honourable Moses Kuria, Governor, Professor Anyang Nyong'o. Very, very hard to follow your speeches, but let's try and do some justice. It's been an incredible journey thus far. But firstly, welcome everyone again. Honourable Moses Kuria, the Governor, Trade Commissioner, John, good to see you again. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Albrecht said, I'm the Managing Director for the affiliate that is responsible for developing and building these really transformational assets across our development pipeline moving forward. Specifically about Kenya, it has been an incredible journey. There's no other word for it. There's been some ups and downs. There's been some tears, lots of laughter, but we've really built solid relationships and great friends on the ground. And I thank Kenya for that. It has been incredible. Thank you. I'm just going to start really with where we're at today. As of today, it's not just the MOU. There's been so much work going on over 3 years, which I'll come back to. But we actually have today a registered joint venture SEZ company. Bank accounts are open. This is not just about signing the MOU today. This business is live. It's been amazing. And what is this business? And I just wish to correct June. It will be the largest, most advanced, integrative, regenerative, and sustainable agri-food system, not value chain. We're talking about building an entire system that will require at least $250 million in capital development into the western region of Kenya. And what do we mean by a system? Effectively, what we're trying to do is put a backbone of a fully functioning operating system that includes agri-services, providing capacity, financial products, precision agriculture inputs, knowledge to rural communities. We're building a nucleus estate farm, quite large, 15 to 20,000 hectares. We're looking to work with outgrowers up to 100,000 hectares to ensure that the capacity of the agro-processing, the value-added and agro-processing facilities are full. And we're looking to look at rice processing and value addition, oilseed crushing, value addition, and cotton ginning and spinning. There is a little upside that we're working on. Honourable Moses Kuria, that you're probably not aware, we're working with development partners as we speak. And we think with the crop systems that we're looking at, we could actually be the main cornerstone developer and contributor to the Food for Schools program in Kenya. So this is an amazing initiative by the Kenyan government where they're looking to feed 10 million children a fortified whole grain meal every day at school every year. So this is obviously a long journey, 5-10 years, but it's something that we're very keen to incorporate into this business model. From a national strategic perspective, this project aims to address all 9 flagships of the ASTGS, the Kenyan Agricultural Strategy and Transformation Strategy, Growth Strategy. It's a long acronym. We're looking to deliver significant impact into the rural communities through increasing their capacity, increasing their knowledge, what crops to grow, how do we start undertaking climate-smart farming systems. We're looking to increase jobs in the area. We will be looking at, with this systems development, at least 2,000 to 2,500 direct jobs. If we build the system and we look at other investments to catalyse the backbone of what we're putting in these rural communities, we expect anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 indirect jobs in the region. We'll improve in nutrition of particularly, obviously not just young people, but higher quality production, rice, maize, pulses, soybeans, etc. We'll be empowering local women. We'll be protecting the environment. We're talking about climate-smart agriculture. We need to modify it, get adaptation within the farming communities. Move towards climate-smart farming, rotating other crops, moving away from monoculture, and really significantly addressing the trade balance for Kenya. Kenya currently, it's experienced not just from COVID, import crisis with the Ukraine war, but they're experienced, I think now your 6th drought, 6th extended dry season. This has had a profound impact on their food import bill, and we materially, through this project, wish to at least address $200 to $250 million of that import bill with high-quality produce produced in Kenya, as well as export opportunities. I just want to build a little bit on what Albrecht was saying. The United Green investment thesis around global food security, it's not something that just happens overnight. This started 4 years ago. It's been developed, it's been refined. That strategy in itself has been at a journey. And it takes time to refine that, particularly around topography, climate, soils. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of what is the right strategy on a country-by-country basis. We don't have a blueprint that we go to each country. We do not impose business models. We have, as Albrecht said, quite a unique investment structure approach. Foreign direct investment is critical, but our approach is from our perspective, we don't believe in 100% FDI of food-based business models. We like to undertake co-development. We work with countries. We co-invest together. There is no point foreign direct investment at the scale that we're talking about coming in and all the dividends and returns are repatriated offshore, taking hard currency with it. How do we develop collaborative business models, in this case with the county government, KDC, and develop business models that allows returns to stay in the country and allowing us to reinvest a lot of those returns and keep building on the system that we're developing and attract more catalytic investment. As Albrecht said, we look to partner with state investment institutions with a similar mandate, climate smart, regenerative and sustainable agricultural systems to really drive food security and food sovereignty in a country. As I said, we do not impose business models. We actually work very close with our business partners, the government strategy. We're looking at projects in Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Nepal, but they're different projects. We are working with the problems that need solving in Kenya. So when we've actually had over the 3 years, we've looked at several different business models, which I'll talk about. But it's, again, this would not have worked, we would not be where we are today with the collaborative approach of government agencies, ministries, business partners, and development partners on the ground in Kenya. As I said, our approach is not for everyone. Every business has their own strategic objectives, their own approach with investment structures, business models. But our journey started at the Africa Investment Summit in January 2020. As everyone knows, COVID started, 2 months? The restrictions. Well, we were still thinking, okay, we've just started this journey, let's get to Africa. It's better than being locked up at home. So many trips, sometimes sitting by yourself in a plane, various restrictions in Kenya, the curfews at night. We persisted for a good year and a half. We talked with the Ministry of Agriculture, Kenyan Investment, Can Invest. We spent time in the field, and probably one of the biggest messages for those particularly looking at the agriculture sector is don't underestimate the time it takes to really lock in on your business model. We spent time from everywhere from Embu to Meru to Nyandarua to Trans Nzoia, Migori. Get to know the community. Have empathy in these communities. Develop the solution for the problem on the ground. Don't just bring and impose, make some money and disappear quickly. We're about building long-standing solutions, permanent solutions. We're not a 3-year project. We're here for decades, investing in the country, reinvest as our approach. One thing that did help us, and I think they've changed their name, we had UK DITs, now DBT, I didn't know that until today. They were tremendous from day one. We actually had the support when we first went on the ground the first year and a half. We looked at a different industry, actually. And we did a UK DIT, UK Manufacturing Africa sponsored support program. And we undertook a big study. And it told us that there were structural deficiencies, et cetera, don't invest. So that was after about a year and a half. So we're getting into middle of 2021. But that was great because if we had proceeded with our original plan, it was high probability that we would not have had the outcome that was desired. So we go into a period called what I call reset, Q3 2021. And again, for any investors looking to go to Kenya or Africa in general, the UK DBT teams are fantastic. I can't commend enough the team, Alex, his ex-colleague Damini, Con, George, were just tremendous. We actually sat down, we set up a project group. Now, how do we unlock the potential of Kenya from an agricultural productivity perspective? And we went back to the basics. What business model will have the single biggest impact economically, environmentally, and socially? How can we impact the bottom line of the country? Now, that led to a phone call on the 5th of October. I will never forget it for the rest of my life. A call with a visionary governor. He was in Rwanda, Governor Professor Nyang'nyongo. We explained the project, and we explained the importance of having a beachhead in the Lake Region Economic Bloc. This is the most important part of Kenya for food security. Now, how do we build something from here that we can roll out across Kenya over a period of time? The governor got it with subsequent visits. We met with KDC, the new institution from the merger of ICDC as a state investment institution with a mandate in climate smart farming or climate change, post-harvest processing. And we actually, on paper, had a perfect marriage. But now how do you translate this into something meaningful and of value, a partnership? So what we did in February 22 last year is we held an off-site workshop with the county team, Ministry of Agriculture key stakeholders, KDC stakeholders, and the county CECMs. And again, it was another great case study for us is to learn local process. If we had not had this workshop, we would not be where we are today. Understanding the budgetary process within Kenya, understanding the real problems from the county governments, etc. And understanding the legal frameworks of how you do something around a PPP, we call it a public-private community type partnership project. Working with the PPP unit, Public Finance Management Act, etc. But what's really interesting for Kenya, and particularly the county since devolution, is the counties have these investment development acts, and the counties now have platforms to participate with private sector in a timely manner in joint venture projects. So long story short, over a period of 6 months, and the reason there was an election in between there last year, so that had a little bit of a bearing on timing, but still, we've made good progress. In October 4th last year, Albrecht, on behalf of United Green Group, signed the shareholders agreement. And we were told that this was rapid. We very quickly met with Cabinet Secretary, Honourable Moses Kuria, as he said, has a new mandate. He's looking to stimulate investment into Kenya. Agriculture, value-added processing is key. Our project, we believe, is transformational. And I'll talk about the scale of it, why we do believe it's transformational in a relatively short period of time. And he said, look, let's make this happen. And it's that vision, that willingness to work, our openness working with the team, have the hard discussions. And I'd like to think that a lot of your team are becoming very good friends. Kenya is becoming a great country and a great example for other projects that we're also looking at your visionary process. And I just sort of wanted to finish really on, I was going to go and talk about the IFC, but I just want to finish on what we will deliver. We're talking about when we develop transformational agriculture projects, this is